Have you ever told yourself, I'm just protecting my peace, but as time goes on, your life feels smaller and smaller, and you might have a peaceful life, but on the other end, you feel like you're kind of flatlining and not really truly living. If this is you, pay attention and welcome to today's episode where I'm going to be talking about this catch 22 that we often find ourselves in after toxic relationships where we are protecting our peace, but we're also not really happy and we're not really living. So if you're new here, my name is Bethany Dotson. I am a trauma-sensitive somatic therapist, yoga therapist, and relationship coach for high-achieving women who have survived and left narcissistic relationships, but they feel like they've healed, but they still feel stuck. So let's dive right into it. What's really happening when you arrive at this place where everything's fine, but you're not really happy? You're protecting your peace, but your life feels small. When we exit a narcissistic relationship where we've experienced psychological trauma, there's a term in psychology and trauma healing called your window of tolerance. And it's basically your body's ability to withstand stress in a healthy way and process that stress relatively quickly and go on about your life. When you get out of a narcissistic relationship, your window of tolerance to stress, specifically stress in a relationship scenario, think of like dating somebody new would bring up this type of stress, or feeling uncertain about a newer relationship, or like the relationships are going to bring up this type of stress most commonly. And it's also the type of stress that we are the most sensitive to after leaving a narcissistic relationship. So when you leave, your window of tolerance to navigating, managing, and effectively moving through that type of stress gets really small. And what happens when we have a small or a shortened window of tolerance is that we want to seek control. And it's a natural response. It doesn't mean that you're a control freak or whatever. That means controlling our environment. We seek more predictability. We want to keep things just as they are. And that serves a purpose when we create a predictable life. That provides a sense of relief from that shortened window of tolerance that we've endured and accumulated from a narcissistic relationship. We don't have a lot of tolerance for stress. And so our response to that is, I'm going to remove as much stress from my life as possible. I'm going to keep my life as routine and predictable and even keeled as much as I can. But the downside to this is you're especially resistant to things, scenarios, new people in your life, opportunities, possibilities that could widen your window of tolerance. Now, the issue with widening your window of tolerance after narcissistic abuse is that it's uncomfortable. And when you've experienced narcissistic trauma, you're more prone to want to avoid anything that's going to cause more upset, upheaval, discomfort, unpredictability, or uncertainty in your life. But now you're at a place in your life where you've probably overcorrected on protecting your peace. And there's a part of you inside that knows, I really want more for myself, but somehow there's like an invisible barrier. Like you can't quite get yourself to that point that you want in your life. Maybe you go on a first date with somebody and it seems to be going pretty well, but then after that, on the way home, you tell yourself, oh, this is probably it's probably gonna end like all the other ones end. It's not worth it. It's too much of a hassle for me to do this. I'm carrying a lot in my life right now. I don't need to put another thing on top of my plate, right? These are the things that your mind will do to try to keep yourself safe in that protecting your peace mode, because again, your window of tolerance for new things is drastically short. And that doesn't just like bounce back. It doesn't spring back after you leave a toxic relationship. It stays like that. after you leave, until you make the choice and the decision to work with your body and your mind in a trauma way, like addressing that trauma that's still in there, and make choices and uncomfortable actions in your life in real time that is going to help widen your window of tolerance. I like to use the analogy of weightlifting. If you go to the gym and you haven't been to the gym in a long time or ever, you're not going to go to like the 40-pound weights and expect to do bicep curls, right? You're going to start slow and build up your tolerance, because when you go into the gym and you haven't been in a while, or you haven't been at all, you don't have any tolerance. And this is like what your brain and your nervous system are like after narcissistic abuse. You don't have any tolerance. And what a lot of people do is that they know that they want to go get in shape, but they don't want to have to do the things that are going to actually put them in the physique and the mental state that they really want, because they realize that's going to be uncomfortable. And that's basically the same thing that happens here when we've been traumatized. Is there's a wise part of us that knows, I want more for my life, but there's also this inner protector part that is like, not so sure, it's going to be hard, it's going to be risky. And when you've already had a lot of heartache and you already don't feel confident in yourself and you already lack self-trust, it's pretty easy to start believing the lies in your own head that it's not worth it anymore. And this is often what will keep us stuck even long after we've left the narcissistic person, is that we continue buying in to the thoughts in our head that it's safer just to stay where I am. And in trauma healing, and there are numerous research studies that show this, it's not insights or learning about a narcissist or learning about your codependent behavior that changes your behavior and heals trauma. It's not learning about that stuff. That stuff doesn't heal your trauma. Trauma is embedded in your nervous system and the subconscious programs that you live by every day. And sometimes you're not even aware of the subconscious programs that you have, right? Your subconscious is like your nervous system. It's trying to keep you safe. And so sometimes your subconscious is so smart that it won't even, like you won't even be aware of the beliefs that you have that are holding you back. So we think healing is like learning about our stuff, right? It's a part of healing, but it's not the entire thing. We often falsely assume that healing means I'm going to protect my peace. I didn't have any boundaries when I was with my ex. Now I have so many boundaries that nobody can get in. Like we overcorrect on that part and we think, okay, this must be healing. That's not it either. Research shows that when we experience psychological trauma in the form of a relationship, that the number one healing place is a healthy relationship. And it's the thing that we want to avoid the most, right? It's the thing that, like, after you've been burned and you've been destroyed emotionally, that's the last thing that you want to do. And so it's understandably extremely challenging for people to believe and to take the risk of doing that. But it is the thing that is going to take your healing to the next level. There's a whole new level of the video game that's unlocked when you get into a healthy relationship. And on the journey of attracting and maintaining a healthy relationship, the relationship that you also build with yourself by saying no when you really mean no, by staying with somebody new when it feels peaceful and there's no glaring red flags, by staying with your own feelings versus abandoning them or minimizing them in a new relationship setting. All of these things, by being vulnerable, even though it might mean that person isn't reciprocating or isn't available for you in that way. And now you know, and yes, it's going to be painful, but you move through it, you get back in the saddle and you move on. Like all of that you go through, the ups and the downs in the journey of dating, that is what helps you develop that stronger sense of self and that stronger sense of self-worth and love. It's not easy. It's not comfortable in the process. And if you are still living from a place of trauma, you are going to be more likely to write the story like, this isn't meant for me. This is not like, it's too hard. It's too much of a hassle. Men my age are terrible. You're more likely to do things like that because your brain and your nervous system are trying to keep you safe. It's not necessarily that those things are true at all. It's what your mind and your body are doing to keep you safe, because your nervous system doesn't give a crap about what you really want. There's a part of you in there that wants to share your life with somebody, but your nervous system is like, that's not safe. And your nervous system's job is to keep you alive and to keep you safe. It doesn't care about what you want. So the way of reconciling that doesn't mean that you go back into your childhood or you go back 10 years to when you first met your ex and you process all this stuff that you didn't process. No, the thing that you need to do is in real time, regulate your nervous system. Number one, become more aware of where you're abandoning yourself in your life right now with other relationships and start working on shoring that up, calling back your energy, having boundaries, not being rigid in your boundaries, but learning to practice that the discernment, right? And you can't really practice discernment if you are living in chronic stress. And the thing about trauma is that it leads to chronic stress. And when we live in chronic stress, we're going to be more resistant to change, because when we change, any type of new thing that we introduce to our life, like dating or a new person in our life, is going to create initially a sense of stress. Well, when your nervous system is already stressed, you're going to be like, absolutely not. And the irony is, like, the catch-22 is that's the thing that's going to get you to the next layer of your healing, right? So you address a nervous system regulation, then looking at, where am I showing up small in my life? Where am I holding myself back in limiting relationships? Start cleaning that up. That will start to add to your sense of self-trust. That will also help train you to maintain that sense of inner peace, even when you have uncomfortable conversations with people, even when people disappoint you, even when you have high expectations and other people don't meet them. It's going to help train you to not shut down or not be like, this is not meant for me, kind of a reaction when things don't go your way. And then the third phase of this is, once you have a lot of practice with a regulated nervous system and you're showing up consistently as your wise self, not your protective self, in other relationships, now is the time to start practicing this in dating, where the rubber meets the road. And this kind of three-phased system or process is often what I take clients through when we work together. So if you find that you are in this place of like, my life feels small, I've protected my peace so well that nothing can get in and disturb this, and you realize that's doing more harm than it actually is healing, and there's a part of you, you might not like admitting it, that opening yourself up to new people and new things in your life is the thing that's going to move the needle the fastest for you, then I have a free training that's going to walk you through the steps that you can start taking today on increasing your window of tolerance and your capacity for love. That'll help you start seeing what you're missing and perhaps take some initial steps in opening yourself up to a stronger sense of self-trust and love. That's at BethanyDotson.com/training. And then if you realize, I don't want to keep doing this anymore, I know I need somebody in my corner to point out what am I doing wrong? I know that I'm doing something wrong, but I can't see it clearly and I don't know what to do to fix it. Then that might be a good indicator that you're ready for support. And you can go to BethanyDotson.com/talk if you'd like to have an honest conversation about whether we can potentially help you change your patterns in love, stop living in fear and self-protection, and start living and dating from a place of love and self-trust. That's all for now. I will see you on the next episode.